MonopolyP. They said he came from nothing.
You know, I was thinking about that feeling you get when you open a board game for the first time. You know the one? You dump the pieces out, you unfold the board, and for a split second, it's just pure chaos.
Oh, absolutely. Especially if it's a game with a thick rulebook. You're looking at these little plastic houses, the dice, the cards, and you're thinking, I have no idea how to win this.
Exactly. And I feel like that is the perfect metaphor for what we're diving into today. We are looking at real estate, specifically the fundamentals, but not in a boring textbook way. We're talking about unlocking the board. Because for most people, real estate feels like a game where everyone else knows the rules, and they're just standing there afraid to roll the dice.
That is such a common paralysis. And honestly, it's tragic, because unlike a board game that you can just put back in the closet, the real estate game is happening all around you, 24/7. You are living in it. You're either paying to be on the board, or you're getting paid because you own a piece of it.
That's a heavy thought to start with. We're all playing whether we want to or not.
100%. And the material we're looking at today, this MonopolyP approach to fundamentals, it really challenges that hesitation. It's designed for the person who looks at a building and thinks, that's for rich people, or I need a finance degree to even understand what a cap rate is.
Right, the gatekeepers. We always feel like there are gatekeepers. So, let's break down this playlist, this orientation as they call it. The core message seems to be that real estate isn't actually complicated. It's just obscured by jargon.
Precisely. Think about it. Why do people hesitate? It's rarely because they don't want wealth. It's because they don't understand the mechanics. The premise here is that knowledge eliminates fear. If you're walking down a dark hallway, it's scary. If you turn the light on, it's just a hallway. This foundation series is the light switch.
I love that. So, let's flip the switch. One of the first things that stood out to me in this material is the emphasis on vocabulary. It almost sounds like a linguistics course at first. Why is speaking the language so critical here? Is it just so you sound smart at cocktail parties?
Laughs. No, though that's a nice bonus. It's about access. Language is a key. If you walk into a bank or sit down with a seller and you say, I want to buy a house to make money, you sound like a hobbyist. You sound like a risk. But if you walk in and talk about cash flow, equity, leverage, and ROI, suddenly the person across the table sits up straighter. They realize, oh, this person is a player, not a spectator.
So the vocabulary actually changes the way the market treats you?
It changes everything. It signals competence, and competence attracts capital. That's a huge takeaway from this mindset shift. You don't need to be rich to start. You need to be educated. The money often follows the knowledge.
That's a massive distinction. I think most people have it backward. They think, I'll learn about investing once I win the lottery.
Which is exactly why lottery winners usually go broke. They have the capital, but not the vocabulary or the mindset. The MonopolyP philosophy drives this home. Investing is a decision, not a dream. Dreamers talk about what if. Investors talk about how.
Let's dig into that how a bit. The material mentions the difference between active and passive investing. I feel like this is where people get tripped up. They imagine real estate means fixing a leaky toilet at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday.
The classic landlord nightmare scenario. Yes, that is the biggest myth that keeps people on the sidelines. They conflate investing with property management. They are two different jobs.
Break that down for us.
Okay. Active investing. Sure, that can be flipping houses, managing renovations, being the hands-on operator. That's a job. It pays well, but it's labor. Passive investing is about capital allocation. It's about understanding the deal, vetting the operators, and letting your money work while you sleep. You don't have to be the one swinging the hammer to build wealth in real estate. You just need to understand how the money moves through the property.
How the money moves. That's a phrase that keeps coming up. It feels almost distinct from just making money.
It is. Making money is a transaction. You sell your time, you get a check. How money moves is a system. In real estate, money flows in through rent, it flows out through expenses and debt service, and what's left is cash flow. Plus, you have tax benefits, appreciation, principal paydown. It's a multi-dimensional machine. If you don't understand the machine, you can't operate it.
It sounds like we're moving from a 2D view of money, earn and spend, to a 3D view.
That's a perfect way to put it. And that's why the orientation is so vital. You can't fly a plane if you don't know what the dials do. But here's the kicker, and the source material is adamant about this. You don't need to be a genius to read the dials. You just need to stop telling yourself it's too hard.
It's the mental block, the I'm not an investor identity.
Right. We all have a financial identity. Maybe you grew up hearing debt is bad. Well, in real estate, some debt is good. It's leverage. If you don't rewrite that internal script, you'll self-sabotage. You'll see a great opportunity and your brain will scream danger instead of opportunity because you haven't upgraded your mindset software.
So before you spend a single dollar, you have to spend time on your own psychology.
Absolutely. Strategy means nothing without the right mental framework. You can give the best strategy in the world to someone with a poverty mindset, and they'll find a way to break it.
Okay, let's get practical. Because one thing I appreciate about this MonopolyP approach is that it hates fluff. It says this isn't theory for theory's sake. They actually lay out a 7-day action plan.
Yes, and I love this plan because it's not go buy a building on day 1. It's prepare yourself.
Walk us through it. Days 1 and 2 are pretty straightforward. Watch and absorb. Just get the info in your brain.
Right. Immersion. You can't learn French by listening to one song. You have to immerse. So watch the playlist, take notes, but day 3 is where it gets interesting. Build your glossary.
We're back to language.
We are. But notice the instruction. Define each term in your own words. That is a crucial pedagogical trick. If you just copy-paste a definition of cap rate, you haven't learned it. If you have to write it out like you're explaining it to a 5-year-old, you own that concept. It cements the understanding.
That's true. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. Now, day 4. Day 4 sounds a little painful to me. Assess your starting point.
The financial selfie.
Laughs. The financial selfie. No filters.
No filters, no angles. Just the brutal truth. Income, savings, debts, credit score. Most people live in a fog regarding their own finances. They know they have some debt or about this much in savings. You cannot map a route to a destination if you don't know where you are standing on the map.
It's scary, though.
It's terrifying. That's why people avoid it. But the prompt says no judgment, just clarity. That is so important. You aren't doing this to beat yourself up about that credit card bill from 3 years ago. You're doing it to get data. Data is neutral. Once you have the data, you can make a plan. Without it, you're just wishing.
Just wishing. That seems to be the theme of the dreamer versus investor. Then we move to day 5. Define your why. Now, isn't this a bit cliche? Find your why?
It can be if you keep it superficial. If your why is, I want a Ferrari, that's not going to sustain you when a deal falls through or a contractor quits. Real estate is a long game. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. You need an anchor.
An anchor?
Yeah, something deep. I want to retire my parents. I want to make sure my kids graduate without debt. I want freedom of time so I can paint. When things get challenging, and they will, you need to look at that written statement and remember that the struggle is the price of that freedom.
That connects back to the philosophy of it. It's not about the money, it's about what the money buys.
Exactly. Money is just stored energy. Real estate is just a vehicle to store and grow that energy.
Then day 6. Explore the community. Why is the social aspect so heavily emphasized? Learning alone is slow, they say.
Because real estate is a team sport, there is no such thing as a self-made real estate mogul. You need lenders, brokers, contractors, partners, and mentors. If you try to learn this in a vacuum, you make every mistake yourself. If you learn in a community, like the one at community.monopolyp.com, you learn from other people's mistakes. That is infinitely cheaper and faster.
It's the difference between learning by trial and error and learning by mentorship.
Precisely, and it keeps you accountable. If you're just watching videos in your basement, nobody knows if you quit. If you're in a community, you have peers asking, hey, did you finish that glossary? Did you run the numbers on that deal? It pushes you.
And finally, day 7, commit to the next playlist. How money moves.
Momentum. That's the key. You've built the foundation, you've poured the concrete. Now you have to frame the house. You can't let the concrete sit there for 6 months or it cracks. You have to keep moving.
Taking a step back, looking at this whole MonopolyP concept, it feels like they are trying to democratize something that has been kept behind velvet ropes for a long time.
That's the vibe I get. There's a democratization of information happening right now. 20 years ago, to learn this, you had to know a guy who who knew a guy or pay 50 grand for some seminar. Now, it's accessible. But access doesn't equal action. That's the catch.
Say more about that.
The gate is open. The board is unlocked. But you still have to walk through. You still have to roll the dice. The tragedy of the information age is that we consume content like it's entertainment. We watch a video on investing, we get a dopamine hit, and we feel like we achieved something. But we didn't. We just watched someone else play the game.
That's a sharp critique. We are binge-watching success instead of creating it.
Exactly. This playlist, this 7-day plan, it's an antidote to that. It demands output. Write the glossary. Write the financial statement. Join the community. It forces you to move from consumer to creator.
It reminds me of what we touched on earlier, the social responsibility of it too. When you become an investor, you aren't just playing with numbers. You're dealing with housing. You're dealing with neighborhoods.
That's the deep end of the pool. When you own property, you are a steward of a physical part of a community. You impact how a street looks, who gets to live there, and the quality of life for your tenants. It's a profound responsibility, and I think that's why the mindset component is so vital. We don't just want more investors, we want better investors. Investors who understand that profit and purpose don't have to be enemies.
Better investors. I like that. It's not just about extracting rent, it's about providing value.
And the market rewards value. The slumlord model is dying. The investors who win in the next decade will be the ones who understand that real estate is a service business, not just an asset class.
So, for the listener right now who is sitting there, maybe driving to a job they don't love, thinking about this, what is the one thing they need to take away from this fundamentals discussion?
I'd say this. The gap between you and the person owning the apartment complex you drive past isn't magic. It isn't even necessarily intelligence. It's vocabulary and courage. They learned the words and they took the step. The board is open. The pieces are there. You just have to decide to sit at the table.
And don't let the finance degree myth stop you.
Never. Real estate is simple math and human psychology. If you can handle 5th grade math and you can talk to people, you can play this game.
That is incredibly empowering. It really strips away the excuses.
That's the goal. No excuses, just action.
So the call to action is clear. Don't just listen to this podcast and nod along. Go to the playlist. Do the 7 days.
Write the glossary. Take the financial selfie. It'll be uncomfortable, but growth is always uncomfortable.
And stick around, because like we said, day 7 leads into how money moves. We're going to need to understand the flow if we want to build the empire.
That's where the fun really begins. Once you have the foundation, you can start building the skyscraper.
I love it. Unlocking the board, one property at a time. It's been a fascinating look into the fundamentals.
A pleasure. Let's see who actually rolls the dice.
That's the question. Until next time, keep building.
Press play, lock in, MonopolyP.com.
Grandma's present, so look at what he came to be.